Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here is the news making headlines today. U.S. President Donald Trump has described a month-long ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran as being unbelievably weak and on massive life support. Trump made the comments in response to questions from reporters in the Oval Office on Monday. Earlier on the same day, the U.S. president told Fox News that he was considering resuming the suspended Project Freedom operation. In response to pressure from Trump, Iran said it had completed preparations for all possible countermeasures. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, who led the Iranian delegation in the ceasefire negotiations, wrote on X on Monday night that Iran's armed forces are fully prepared to respond decisively to any aggression. A South Korean official will attend a virtual defense ministers meeting hosted by the United Kingdom and France on Tuesday to discuss restoring safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. The meeting follows a series of talks that began with a France-hosted video conference of military chiefs in March. There is interest on what stance the South Korean government will take as the meeting comes after the HMM ship Namo was reported to have been struck by an unidentified airborne object. The Defense Ministry said that it will carefully review realistic ways to contribute in consultation with relevant government ministries. South Korean Defense Minister An Gu-baek met U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in Washington on Monday, as the allies coordinated on major security issues including wartime operational control transfer, alliance modernization, and tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon meeting marked the first defense ministers' talks between the two countries in more than 6 months. During opening remarks, Hegseth stressed the importance of allied unity and burden sharing, referencing the recent U.S. military operation against Iran. He also praised South Korea's pledge to increase defense spending and take on a larger role in defending the Korean peninsula. On voiced support for the Trump administration's peace through strength policy, and said Seoul is also boosting defense spending and military capabilities to strengthen South Korea-led defense on the peninsula. President Lee Jae-myung has called for expansionary fiscal policy to prop up economic growth. Presiding over a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, he urged officials to ensure that this stance is reflected in the growth strategy plan for the latter half of the year, as well as next year's budget planning. He said critics calling for government belt-tightening were irresponsible and were turning a blind eye to people's hardships. Lee said South Korea's actual debt amounts to around 10% of its GDP, adding that its debt structure is sturdier than its global peers. South Korea's economy is maintaining recovery momentum propelled by robust semiconductor exports, though external uncertainties remain a concern. According to the Korea Development Institute's May Economic Trends Report, Korea is seeing a clear rebound in the tech sector alongside improving services. Exports surged 48% in April, driven by massive global demand for AI components. Domestically, equipment investment is showing solid growth, and retail sales are gradually recovering. However, the construction sector remains stuck in a prolonged slump. The state-run think tank also warned of persistent downside risks. The prolonged war in the Middle East has disrupted global crude oil shipments, pushing South Korea's consumer inflation up to 2.6% in April. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.